with Lars and Cyrus, who had like a useful character behind them.
So you were recording all of this, right?
No,
All the content.
I don't live for the pod. We're not here to hashtag
Pod lives
content.
for me.
Yeah, exactly.
That is true. So one of you should host. Boom.
Yeah.
735 hours.
735 hours. That's a long time, Andy.
Yeah, I wish that it could be on my PC, and that's all I'll say.
Maybe one day.
Hello, Andrew and Michael. This is We Were Gamers, episode 360.
360. We have a full Xbox.
Hey,
We'll do a 360 and walk back the way we came.
What a weird name for a console.
Yeah, I don't know how they pulled it out. I'm not. The first one was called the Xbox, right?
Yeah. Uh-huh.
And then you would think they'd be like, I can understand, they were competing against PS2 had just finished, or was the old console. So you don't want to be Xbox 2 when the PS3 is coming out. That's a bad look.
Yeah.
But I don't know how you get 360. I don't know how you get there.
I don't know, especially since
I'm not available to figure that one out.
It was outputting in 720, so who knows? I don't know.
Yeah. All those consoles back then were, this still happens, right? All the consoles lie about all the resolutions. They're like, we support 1080p gaming on the PC, on the PS3 and Xbox 360. It's like
1080i, maybe.
Maybe.
yeah.
If there's a game that even outputs 1080p, it's like 1080p 3 frames.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Well,
and
I mean, you need
it's like the next one, it was like, oh, the PS4 does 4K. It's like, no, it doesn't.
10 frames a second. If you even have the right cable, which most people didn't at the time.
Right. And it's like, oh, it is 4K, but it's like checkerboard rendering. And you're like, so it's not 4K.
Little patches of it are.
It's not even just a console problem. I remember when the iPhone decided to skip 9.
Oh, you gotta have X, bro. X is so cool. What a cool number.
Because the Android somehow jumped ahead. And so they were like, well, we can't.
Android puts their versions out really quick and just like revs up, They just like, It's just same thing where Android skipped 13, right? Because they're like, bad number. We're on 14 now.
So we can get ahead of the iPhone numbering again.
It's 13's an unlucky number, guys. Yeah, we're just skipping it. It's fine. We're on.
14. I was at a hotel 2 weekends in a row, actually. These last 2 weekends. And it's a common conception that floors of elevators, there's no floor 13, right?
Mm-hmm. That is true. Yeah.
In the US.
Right. Also true, Michael.
Yes. Thank you, Michael. Good point. We do have international listeners. So for you international listeners, this is how dumb your Americans are. We're not allowed to have floor 13 in buildings. And at the hotels I was at, no room 13s either.
Really?
Yeah, both the hotels I was at this last weekend did not have room 13s.
Did they skip it, or were all the rooms even numbered?
One of them, I don't know the answer to that. The other one, yes, they just skipped it.
I would imagine sufficiently big hotels usually do. It's like odds left side of the corridor, evens right side, or some kind of scheme like that. One side of the hallway, the other side of the hallway, something like that.
Yeah.
So no one is being fooled when it's like 209, 211, 215. No one is fooled here whose room that is. But they do it. It's just like, you people on floor 14, you know what floor you're on.
What do you mean, you people?
That's what I mean. It's like, no one is being tricked here. Very silly. Although I think some other countries have similar things around the number 4, right?
Oh, do they?
An unlucky number.
Yeah.
I think that's a Chinese superstition, the number 4. Maybe it's Japanese. I don't know.
I know they like 7s.
Talking.
There are different numbers in every different culture that are good and bad luck, right?
Yeah, write us an email. Definitely. Tell us about bad luck and weird hotel things that people do,
Yeah, please. I do find that stuff interesting. I know like there's a whole, all sorts of cultures have different weird numbers. So please get them out there and explain them to us because that's fascinating to me. Um, well, so Andy, it sounds like you were busy this weekend.
Yeah.
Uh, so I'm gonna guess you didn't get to watch any SGDQ.
I in fact almost forgot to donate. I didn't even get my name in for any of the incentives or any of that sort of stuff. I remembered at the last second to donate before the donations closed, like at midnight the night of Sunday when the stream had already ended.
Yeah, the wife and I usually like to check the T-shirt designs and see if there are any cool ones and buy those. And
Mm-hmm.
I think we did that. And then I don't really think we watched too much.
No, I didn't really
Uh,
have much time. I noticed that the viewership in general seemed a little bit lower than previous. And I don't know if you guys remember, but they used to crack like 3 million on these things. And this one was, I think, barely two.
165. That might have been before they counted the online stuff, but
Yeah, I think it's over two now.
okay. But SGDQ is generally the lower trafficked of the two.
I think Games Done Quick had a big drop too. I don't know if it's just because we're all so much busier nowadays.
so I
You know,
kind
I
of
don't.
wanted to dig into this a little because
Oh, okay.
that was a common sentiment, right? I saw a lot of people on the internet talking about like, oh, GDQ is going on. Is so and so doing this? Are these people going? Is this happening? And people were all just kind of like, meh.
Yeah.
Like, I think GDQ might be in trouble,
Well,
guys.
let's see. GDQ 2020 was 3.1. 2021 was 2.7. 2022 was 3.4. 2023 was 2.7. And then
So you're looking at, oh yeah, okay.
SGDQ in 2020 was 2.3, 2021 2.9, 2022 3 million. Then this one, yeah, 2.2.
So is it more regressing towards a mean post COVID?
Could be, yeah,
Right, because it would have gotten
less
a big bump with everybody stuck at home and there being a whole bunch of stuff to watch.
less viewership.
So, yeah, I wonder if that's it. If it's the COVID stuff wearing off, or if it's
Disposable income.
maybe some of that. The people say the economy is bad, inflation, yada yada. But I think some of it is that like the sheen is wearing off a little bit.
Mm.
It's kind of routine.
Yeah, how many times do you
People,
want to watch Legend of Zelda Twilight Princess runs, I guess?
I think people in like maybe in the sphere of the internet that I'm in now, it's much harder to wow them with a speed run. And so like if you're running a 2.5 hour RPG, you're gonna have to find people who are big fans of that game to watch that, right? Because I am not interested, probably,
I
unless it's a game
used
I
to.
personally am a huge fan of,
I
right?
guess I guess maybe that was a COVID thing, right? Because I know in the last couple of years I definitely watched some of those long runs. I watched like was it how long was that Skyward Sword run, Michael? It was like we were texting during it. It was like 7 hours.
They did a full run. Yeah, it was something long. I don't know if it was quite that long, but it was a
Skyward
long
Sword is a
run.
long game, so it must be long if they're doing everything.
Yeah, it might have been 6 or 7.
I can't remember, but I remember us watching it.
So I wonder, are they going to run into trouble now because of the newness factor? Like new games and new fun speed games don't come out that quickly,
Mm.
and there isn't the big mainstays, the like games that everyone loves. Well, like people have seen those speed runs now. That's not fun to watch. I think they still get good viewership for like the big relay races among communities that do that. The big like races for various games that have races, where they can
Mario
get four
Maker
people or
2.
whatever. Yeah, Mario Maker, that kind of stuff. But like similarly, like the audience for Mario Maker is way down from where it used to be. That's not a game that does it for people anymore. And God knows Nintendo doesn't seem to have that game on their radar anymore. They're not rushing out a Mario Maker
they're
3
they're
anytime
done
soon,
with
I'll tell
that
you
one.
that.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I just wonder, is that going to put like a lot of like Maybe GDQ is okay with that, right? Coming down to a more steady kind of level, maybe a more sustainable level. Um, you know, can't chase the increasing profits forever, right? Or well, they're
Sure.
not profits anyway. Whatever, you know
Yeah.
what I mean. Um, it's because I totally noticed it too, Andrew. Right when you're
Yeah.
like, oh, these numbers are low. Like the viewership numbers are just low.
You know what's
You
fascinating
you
is
could go in there and you'd expect like 40,000 people at
it
any
was like
time, and it's like,
18,000. Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. And what was fascinating to me is I don't know if you guys watched the interviews with the interviews with Doctors Without Borders or the interviews with Prevent Cancer Foundation. They used to be like just like this is the CEO person. This is the random executive that got invited to talk about it. And I noticed last year or the year before I was starting to see the same faces. And this year they really just let the cat out of the bag that they now have departments at these two places that are just people that have been hired to promote streaming donation campaigns, and they don't even interview like CEOs anymore. Like the coolness of like this event is big and huge and kind of unexpected, and it gets the attention of the bigwigs is kind of
Mhm.
also worn off. Right now, they just have spokespeople specifically for streaming events, and like those people did interviews, and one of the interviews they said like the 3 million last year they got from Games Done Quick was enough to fund their operations in like 3 or 4 countries.
I mean,
Crazy.
that's awesome. Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's almost like, yeah, maybe the wow, this underground thing is fun might have worn off if they've even corporatized the side of like, oh, now we need to have like streaming managers for these companies that are getting donations.
And I think that's the other unfortunate thing is that corporatization and the like relentless like policing of everything forces the runs to be less interesting. The runners can't have personality. They can't, make I don't this isn't a culture war
You're,
thing.
I
They
don't know.
do
You're
they do
drifting a
though.
little
They
bit.
Nah, it's not true. You go watch some of those streamers that do those runs on their own streams and they are so much more entertaining.
Really?
Yeah.
Hmm.
It Watching them at GDQ is like a completely sanded down corporate experience. Not just because of like what they can and can't say. That's not even it. But the GDQ experience isn't the same as watching a person stream. Like the streamers are wildly entertaining people for the most part. But on a GDQ stage, they're kind of just sitting there and like some people behind them are talking about what they're seeing. That's not an exciting format usually. These people are usually the best about like talking about what they're doing, chatting with the chat, having like interactions and stuff like that. And you can't do that at GDQ. You can't see the chat. And the
Well,
chat is like only people that have paid. And so like the vast majority of people aren't even there.
well, there's some options here for. I would be cautious to say like it's over. The whole thing's dead. I think
Oh, I super
there's
don't mean
some
that. It's just
there's
I
some
think that
options
they
here for
have
what could be happening, and one of them might be, hey, this was like only the second event in person since 19.
mhm.
So, the people that are used to the event, like the Spike Vegeta was still there, still doing fun stuff, but he's not there every single run like he used to be. You know what I mean? Like there's a
Mhm.
lot of broadening of the people participating, and so that could also be a learning curve for some of these people that don't then get the chance to be in person again for another 2 years because there's so many people applying to do runs.
Yeah, and it's
It's a
funny that you say
skill.
that.
It's a
Okay,
skill to stream,
that's a
and
fair
then
point. That's a fair point.
yeah. I mean, it's a skill, right?
Yeah.
It takes development, even even if you stream well. I guess is what I'll say.
Yeah, I was gonna say it's funny that you say that because I in looking through the game list for this year, I felt like there were a lot more games that I didn't recognize.
Oh yeah,
You
yeah.
know,
The
there were the
widening
big
of
names that
net.
you would expect, but yeah, it definitely felt like they were casting a wider net.
I mean, that's the part I support. Usually I don't have
Oh,
an
for
issue with
sure.
watching new games if they're interesting. But every time I turned it on, it was like lifelessness is what I felt most of the time.
I noticed that the crowd in the back was tiny even during like runs when I would have thought they would be huge. So I don't know how many people actually went.
Yeah, I guess that's also a thing, right? And I know some of the streamers that I watch separate from GDQ talk about that the influence that GDQ has or it used to have is not big anymore, right? Like the most of the big streamers that used to be part of these GDQ runs and stuff aren't going to go anymore because it doesn't make any financial sense for them to, right?
It
Other
didn't. It
than like
never
they
made
want to
financial
support
sense.
the charity, right? Well, it
Yeah.
did when they were unknowns and then they got a break, right? That's the stuff that doesn't happen anymore. No one breaks at GDQ, right?
Hmm. Well, that's unfortunate. I know they also lost their CEO to health issues, right? No, not passed away, but I think he had to step down. I'm sorry.
Ah,
Uh,
well, still sad,
to
of
be more
course.
clear with that, I believe he stepped away after AGDQ or SGDQ last year. It was it's like recent in the scheme of things, but
Hmm.
it's
Yeah, I
possible
mean,
that has
that
also
stuff is,
affected the
of
thing.
course, right? There's 10 billion things that go into huge events like this, and literally nothing that we said could have been a factor, or all of it could have been to some degree, right? We don't really know.
Mm.
But enough doom and gloom about it. Did we actually watch any runs? I did watch at least one run that I liked. Did you catch any, Michael?
Yeah, so I caught the Symphony of the Night randomizer run.
Oh man.
That was fun.
Okay. Dang. You and I watched the same one.
Oh, did
Oh,
we?
oh,
uh,
it's
I love this for us.
Very nice. Yeah, they seemed like they were having fun in that one. Mostly because it became a run. It became a run about them needing to find like the last thing. And every time they got
Always
to a
the way it
check,
goes.
yeah, every time they got to a check, it wasn't what they needed.
They're like, all right, this will be it.
This is
No.
the one. No, this is not the one. It became a very your princess is in another castle.
Okay, where else can we go? Yeah, I love Symphony of the Night, as we've talked about on this podcast before. And the randomizer just seems like bonkers, man.
I had never seen it. I've always seen just regular runs with, either glitch or no glitch, but still the regular progression.
Yeah, I knew they invented one at some point. I don't know that I know enough about that game to play randomizer. I think I worry that I would just never find anything. Um, maybe it'd be fun to try once. I don't know.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Eh,
I've,
but
I've
they
got
looked like
another.
they were having a good time, even though as it got increasingly bad every time they missed the check
Yeah,
and didn't find the thing they were looking for.
they were definitely amused by it. Uh, I do have one other one flagged that I want to watch. Andy, you brought up Spike.
oh
He
yeah.
did a Majora's Mask randomizer run.
Oh cool. He does a lot of randomizers on his things.
Yes, yeah, I watch his channel pretty regularly.
Yeah.
So that one will be fun. I don't actually know how the Majora's Mask randomizer works either.
Yeah, I'm just thinking like,
Because with the mechanic of that game where you're
right, yeah,
resetting
yeah,
days,
yeah. I
Yeah.
wonder.
Oh man. Ooh.
I've only played that game like one time in my entire life. I do not know enough about that game to even understand how that would go. It's like, well, don't you need the mask? What if you don't have it? What do you do?
but sometimes that makes it more fun. It's just like I don't know what's going on.
I did catch kind of maybe back to JJ's point accidentally here, but I did catch the Pokemon Coliseum run. It was a race. And thank God it was a race because it allowed for some people to talk. Like there were 4 people up there talking, 2 of them were playing and 2 of them were commentating. So it was at least a little bit interesting. The kids caught a glimpse of it. I had the TV on and they were like, "Oh, what's that Pokemon?" I'm glad to know that people can speedrun kind of anything, but like the mechanics of that game are that there are like combinations of like 4 characters that are like broken and good basically, and so every
Mhm.
fight is basically the same. So after a little while it was just like, okay, they're just doing the same moves with the same characters over and over basically. And I know it's more complicated than that, but like from a watching perspective, if you're not like in the middle of that kind of thing, it was a little bit flat, I guess.
Yeah.
Mhm.
I do
Um,
have that Mario Maker relay race to go watch, and I have that flagged. But
there you go.
yeah, I find man, who's ready for JJ's boomer take of the week?
Boom,
Hey,
boom,
old man
boom, boom,
Krakowski.
boom.
Old man Krakowski. It's Pokemon is super boring. Just period. I don't
Uh,
think
I think
maybe the
some
battle system
generations.
is bad or has been bad the whole time, and I'm just only finally figuring it out.
No, you've made this point before, and I think that I agree in that it. And I think Pokemon Arceus tried to solve this problem. I haven't played it yet. I can report back later, or we can get Ryan on here. I know he's played it. Um, you said this years ago when I had a
I've been a
DS,
Pokemon hater for a long time, but
but you
I
said it succinctly before, and I'm dragging it out, which is I said, "Oh, I think I want blah 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 game," and you're like, "But why?" I said, "I don't know, because it's the new one." It's like it's this. You said it's the same game, and that's
yeah,
really the crux of Pokemon's problem is that for most people, they just want the same game with new colors on it. And so I don't think Pokemon is bad. In fact, I have gone back and replayed Blue multiple times, and it is just as fun because it is extremely simple and it's like pre-breeding all your Pokemon and like 10,000 extra Pokemon. It's got the original 100 plus. It's got
right.
like very simple, straightforward. Go to these 6 place. I mean, it's a very simple JRPG. Go to these places, beat these people, go beat the final bosses.
Yep.
Collect things along the way. Here's the limited list.
Sometimes less is more, is what you're saying.
I am absolutely saying that in Pokemon's case, less was more, and then they didn't really change it past that. So I don't know that it's quote unquote bad. I think it's just aged, very very aged, and they built whatever on top of it and expected it to just keep selling. I mean, people
I mean, it does
really
keep
have
selling,
been.
so
Well, no, I don't know. I mean, people were really. I don't know a nice word to say. Dogpiling on that Sword and Shield game. It was just not good. Like they
mm,
the fans of the game and the genre are just piling on. I'm telling them they're not working at it anymore. They're just packaging the same thing differently. And I think that Arceus game I should try and see if because they got pretty good reviews for trying something else. The battle system changed, a whole bunch of other stuff changed. So
maybe that was the kick in the pants they needed.
maybe I don't know, and I think it bled out into other Pokemon games other than like Pokemon Snap, which was actually pretty ingenious. Like that Coliseum game was just like, hey, do you like Pokemon battling? What if there was nothing else other than battling? It was like, ooh boy, no thanks.
Yeah, I mean that's
Ooh, now you can
at
battle
some
with
point does the
4 Pokemon at a time. It's like, nah, it's the same though. It's just
doesn't
more busy
sometimes
work.
the battle system in every JRPG become the worst part of that game, right? If you play 150 hours of it, by the 130th hour,
Like
you're like, do I have to do this battle?
735 hours.
Ooh, Andy making the transition for us. So y'all still playing that COTC? I don't know why I said it that way. Obviously, I still am too.
Well, I know that Andy's still playing at least until Wednesday.
Oh, you think I'm gonna quit if I don't pull?
No, you were the one who was talking about the grind might do it for you.
Oh, are the new weapons dropping Wednesday too?
Yeah, this
Oh
this this is a
man.
huge update on Wednesday.
Okay, we'll see. I'm already a little bit.
My mind did, Andy, you're not wrong. My mind glazed over as I attempted to absorb the information about those weapons. It was just like
So JJ,
at some point, my mind just went like, nah,
I was
no,
literally
we're done
numb
here. You should turn this off.
as soon as the fortune weapon discussion started. We're talking about champions of the continent. As soon as the discussion of soul weapons ended and fortune weapons began, which are still kind of soul weapons, and the explanation of how they were different started, I think I Homer Simpson straight out of my body.
You felt your body leave the ethereal or to the astral plane, and you were just Doctor Strange looking down on yourself.
I don't maybe, yeah. I just, I'm more of a floating and dreaming and donut kind of guy, but yeah, same analogy.
Okay.
I think you have to realize that that's like a year plus worth of content condensed down into an 18-minute video. So it's drinking from a fire hose compared to what it'll actually be like, which is just sort of incremental progress like the game has been to this point.
I did read some other reviews that are like, yes, soul weapons are better, even if they try to, even if it sounds bad now. I guess this system exists in other gachas and it's bad, but like it sounds like the people that play COTC didn't get uninvested in it. We'll see when that board game hits, though. I think that's the major situation.
You don't want to play the COTC Mario Party?
Not super,
but with battles instead,
with combat instead of fun mini games.
Yeah.
All right. Yeah, we don't have to belabor that point. I did finally beat Ritu today. I want to toot my own horn there a little bit.
All right. Well, who'd you use? You don't have Odette. I know you don't have Odette.
Nope, don't have Odette. So it was ya boy, of course, Cyrus.
No,
I actually didn't.
No.
I didn't bring Therion. I could have brought him though.
Therion could work in there.
He totally could, right? He's got fire, he's got dagger. The problem is you need people who can deal with the ads. And he can't.
I mean, he's got 4-hit multi-target.
Oh, the AoE target?
Yeah, he's got 4-hit multi-target.
It's wind. Or it's fire though, right? It's 2-hit fire all.
Yeah, but you double cast it if you max it out.
The ads aren't weak to fire. One of them is weak to ice, the other one is weak to wind.
It doesn't matter. Therion's multi-hit fire is AoE 2 and it's shield crack.
Oh, okay. Yeah, but like he can't. That's cool and everything, but like I didn't need him for that. I needed damage to kill them.
Yeah, I'm saying like you could fit him into any party because that thing is shield crack and it does a lot of damage.
Yeah, it actually was beneficial to have someone who didn't shield crack Ritu so that I could.
This is how I did my Tiki-Lin, right? Yeah, this is the same process with Tiki-Lin. Don't break too early, just deal damage without shields. It's a kind of weird concept.
Yeah, so your boy Cyrus was the boy because he could deal with one of the ads who had an ice weakness and then not the other one, but that's fine. And then also could deal with Ritu himself. It turned out the other person I used was Wrath.
Okay, yeah. I like that he has an AoE, he has a single target. I like that we collectively, without talking about it, are only calling him Wrath on this podcast.
Everyone else in the community calls him that now, so I've just transitioned. I was calling him Lars.
Change his name.
I don't know why.
They won't at this point, but
no. They definitely won't. But yeah, Michael's right. They should.
So dumb.
So yeah, it was Cyrus and Lars on the top row. The next row was Tiki-Lin and a backpack. I think Wingate probably. Wow. I don't have Eliza. Otherwise, it would have been.
Yeah, Wingate and Barad are your two typical damage backpacks.
Yep, Barad was the other one I had, and he was behind. Wait for it. Harley.
Yeah, my boy.
That multi-hit wind shave.
I have A1 Harley. I guess I might as well do it, right?
I dislike his story and personality, but he sure is actually useful for wind content.
He's the only thing I use him for. I leveled him because he has AoE wind spells. It works out good.
Yeah.
And then the bottom row is Theo, who is discount Alphen, and Lynette, of course. And yeah, that worked. As I was telling Michael, maybe half the team ended up dead. Theo and Lynette both ate it. Harley definitely ate it. The guy behind him, of course, once the people with the backpack die, of course the backpack's going to die. No, that guy doesn't have any levels or even any good gear. He's dead for sure.
It's funny because like most of the content creators for the game, when they use backpacks, you can tell they don't. You can tell they're never going to do anything because they don't even have equipment on them.
Yes.
Yep. Yeah, I put weapons on them just because there's a chance they might get in one hit before they die, so I do it. But spoiler alert, Barad cast Fireball once. Oh. Good job, bro. And then he died. But yeah, Cyrus and Lars were more than enough to carry me home. And Tiki survived most of the fight. Died maybe at the very end. But yeah, that was cool. I felt accomplished. And then I was bummed to find out I don't get any rubies for this.
No, you don't. The
Bummer.
arena, you get all the rubies ahead of the last fight.
Yep. But you now know that you can do it whenever they reinstate the race or whatever.
Yeah, exactly. So, I'm several cups ahead because I know I can do Glossum. I know I can do Varkin. I know I can do Ritu now. So if they rerun those, I can get those done while I figure out how to beat Gertrude because I can't do Gertrude right now.
Oh yeah, the only one I'm having trouble with is Largo. I can get him down to like a sliver of red health, and then the death wave comes.
I definitely have the team for Gertrude. Like I have basically all the characters that people say are the best ones for like the speed kill. The problem is without the awakenings, they can't do the speed kill. And so then as you start subbing out the backpacks, the damage drops off precipitously. And then it doesn't work so hot. So I got to figure something out there. I can.
JJ, I can send you the link to the Gertrude team that I used. I think I still have it saved because I'm pretty sure it's all characters that you have. Do you have Hanet?
I do.
Okay, then you have everyone who I used in my clear.
Yeah, but I mean, I have Zonta. Isn't he just better?
You need both. Maybe?
I didn't even have Zonta, but so yes.
Well, Hanet has a multi-hit that Zonta does not.
Oh, AoE. Yeah, I guess that's true.
Yeah, so it depends on what you're using it for.
Well, Gertrude doesn't care.
No, because Gertrude's by herself.
Yeah, so that doesn't matter.
The gimmick there
Zonta
is that
is
it's
just better.
One shield per character per turn, right?
Which negates the coolest thing about Zonta, which is that 5 attack that does one hit. I mean, the other hits count for damage, but yeah, it's not what you want. Anywho, all right, just checking in there. I know all of our eyes are probably glazing over after the ridiculous amount of new information we attempted to absorb.
Oh man, and between the weapons and now the patch, it's a lot. The game's gonna change big time.
No, we're going from a 1 point to a 2 point, right, on the update. So it's a big one.
Oh, are they calling this 2.0?
This is 2.0.
Big deal.
Wow.
Okay. I'll probably have to re-download the game.
Yeah, they'll make me re-download the game too. Then
their maintenance is starting 2 hours early.
Oh dang! Make sure your dailies are done, huh?
Yeah, maybe back up your game.
Oh yeah, good call.
Yeah, that's a good call. Good call. Well, speaking of backing up, I know I thoroughly enjoyed friend of the pod Ken and our discussion last week. Even if I didn't get to stay for all of it, I'm very curious where you guys left off on that.
Oh, on Willow.
Yeah.
So we discussed, I think, most of Willow. I don't know that there's much more to. I don't know, Michael. What I didn't want to sound too negative, but there was a lot of Willow that is just seemed. Let's say use the word superfluous.
Well, I think superfluous is one word, but I think what we got into there at the end that you missed, JJ, was disconnected.
Yeah.
That it didn't seem to, it left a whole lot of dots on the page and it didn't seem to connect all of them. And there were some dots that felt like they weren't part of the picture.
Yeah.
Just some guy wrote a story and it was over there, not related.
And a lot of it seemed like it wasn't there to be picked up in season 2 or 3. There's definite dots and like direct connections where you're like, well, got to find out about this guy in the Upside Down. By the way, I forgot to mention that yesterday or last week was like, remember when I was saying like, I think the writer of this seems like he took notes from kind of everywhere and shoved them all in there. It was like, well, David Lynch does this type of thing and James Gunn does this type of thing and this guy does this type of thing, and even the end of the show includes like, what's popular is Stranger Things. We should have an Upside Down in this show,
just like a straight up real like alternate like fall through the ground you're upside down thing.
Michael, is it literal or not literal?
I mean,
spoil it for me. I don't care. I'm not watching the show. Not after the shellacking it got last week.
Someone fell through a door and then they were in the Upside Down.
Okay, that's okay.
Yep.
But there's probably more to unpack here, though, right? Like the sort of, I mean, this is happening not just with Disney stuff, right? All the streaming companies are taking like good shows away.
Oh, you mean in unpacking the streaming problem? Yeah, there's a lot to
Yeah.
unpack that we didn't even get to at all last week, which is like,
Yeah.
So let me roll some math out for you here. Let's see. If I buy Willow on Blu-ray, it's like maximum $30, right? And Disney
You
Plus
think they're
is
making
like
a Blu-ray of this, Andy? Come on.
they did.
They
Go-
did?
Go online, man.
Wow. I'm shocked that happened.
There are people
Okay.
that they can't reach with streaming, right? And so if you go onto well, I would assume it's an official Blu-ray. However, yeah, Willow 2022 Blu-ray.com. Clicking on it to make sure it's a real thing because Blu-ray.com doesn't list bootlegs.
Yeah, I mean,
I can't quite tell if it's real or
there are a
not.
lot of listings on eBay.
Yeah, eBay is an interesting
Sure how I
question,
feel
right?
about
Is
that.
that region-free disc maybe?
Okay, I mean, this is a listing on Amazon that's slightly more reputable than eBay.
Sure. Yeah.
Yeah.
Not a lot necessarily.
Not necessarily. But
Anyway, let's get to our point here.
let's say other than maybe streaming this exact show, right? Like a movie Blu-ray these days costs
I mean,
you 18 bucks and a show is like 30. And I know for a fact
this is at Walmart, Target, and Barnes and Noble. It has to be real.
Okay, so I also know for a fact that all those Star Trek shows are on Blu-ray. All of them. Right?
That one I believe.
I know it. I know Discovery has hit Blu-ray. I know Picard has hit Blu-ray. So the prospect of these streaming things is like in 1 year they want you to spend $15 a month times 12, 180 bucks a year, right? But if you only watch, let's say 3 shows on each of these services and they charge $30 for a season, that's $90, right? And now I get to have it in my house. And so their argument is we have to take these things offline to afford them. Right, that's what Disney's saying is they need to offline these things to be able to afford to
Right.
keep their service profitable.
We can't pay these royalties. Oh no.
But the royalties for it, so whatever their deals are on the back end, that's their argument, is starting to make less and less sense for the consumer end, right? So there's like some sort of weird disconnect happening where like, should we head back to physical media because this streaming thing doesn't work? Because I had to watch Willow 8 hours of it in a week because they said it's done after this, it's going offline. And the prospect of that is you want me to stay subscribed to your thing, like Paramount Plus, right? I've fallen behind on Star Trek because guess what just started? Strange New Worlds. Oh, well, I haven't finished Picard season 3 yet. So, gosh, I hope all that stays online.
I haven't started. Yeah.
For long enough for me to do it. Otherwise, maybe I quit my streaming and just buy them when they come out on the Blu-ray and then watch it at my leisure and then have it in my house in case I ever want to rewatch it. That's to start the argument with legal options.
I guess the cost is the thing, right? Like how many of these shows are you actually watching and how many months of this streaming thing are you paying for? And if you're not watching a show a month, is this thing, making its money worth? Right?
Add up all the streaming things you pay for. I mean, Michael, I know you have a good streaming stable, right? Like you guys watch a good amount of streaming services.
Yeah, although in part because of the cost, some of them are shared.
Oh, that's a good point. Don't tell
Right.
Netflix.
Yeah. We do that, and yeah, I mean it's a thing where like, why would you pay for all of these yourself? You'd never watch them, a lot of them, right? It's like, even Apple has a bunch of good shows recently, but even it has stuff where it's like half the year where there's nothing I'm interested in seeing.
Oh, there's definitely now like a break. I'm turning my Apple TV off next week until For All Mankind comes back. Ted Lasso just ended. They don't have any new movies that I want to watch that I haven't watched already. and there's no For All Mankind for another couple months. So there's $15 a month. You know what I mean?
Like pause.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so like, would I have been better off just buying the Blu-ray discs of these things? Would we be better off assembling our own cabinets of libraries of discs to just send off to each other? I mean, I understand like technology is changing and therefore like buying discs is kind of passe. I love the fact that I don't have a cabinet full of discs anymore, right? Like it's gone. It's all gone. But like I don't need to rebuy them all in 4K because you know, you don't want to keep keeping up with that kind of baloney. But at the same time, if you want to stream 4K with HBO or Netflix, they charge you more.
Yep.
Where there's got to be some sort of give and take with the consumer side of this. I understand that there's corporate needs and profits and all that sort of stuff, but
there is a take. It's them taking from you to give to themselves,
and you giving.
That's the only way it works. Yeah, give them money, they take, and you give. That's how it works. Yeah.
Now, Andy, we could try and solve your problem by starting a business where you collect large numbers of these Blu-rays in one place, and people can come rent them from you.
I don't know about the rentals, man.
Maybe you.
Or
maybe
what
you
if you started a
more convenient and just mailed them to people?
Oh,
yeah, damn it! He got there first. I was going there. I seeded the ground, and I should have plowed forward. Gosh, he got there. Yeah, just like, you know, you could say that maybe, you know, you would go into a store where you could buy things for like best prices, and they would have lots of things.
I won't ever shop there.
Whole rows of DVDs and things of that nature.
Anyone that claims to have the best version of a price of something where you can purchase it is a place where or I can't shop. No. False advertising.
Yeah, probably true that it is false advertising. Anyway, it is a bit ridiculous. And you know, the other thing is that all these streaming services would. How far off the price of cable are you?
Yeah.
Not very.
It's a good point.
If you subscribe to all of them, like you're supposed to.
Yeah. Well, there's a question, though, that some of these sound like they may not renew their cable agreements at a certain point. And I wonder what people that are unable to figure out streaming will do if that is the case.
Well, ESPN's talking about it. That was the big news recently.
ESPN, yeah, loudly talking about it, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, going off cable because right now the numbers don't work on like who's subsidizing what.
Well, ESPN is the one that like they have always gotten the cable monopolies to pony up for, right? ESPN threatens to go, and the cable company says, "Yes, please give us money. Here you go, please." But even ESPN these days doesn't have all the stuff. If you want like if you want live sports, right, which is the thing that cable has traditionally been good at, ESPN doesn't have most of them anymore. It's other places that have it. You know, MLB games are never on ESPN, or rarely.
If they're on MLB's streaming service.
MLB streaming service, or a bunch of other weird local channels. Or you're going to be watching, you want to watch the NBA? That's not on ESPN, right?
MLS is on Apple TV.
MLS is all over the place. You know, that football is all over the place, but not ESPN. Typically, they get one game a week, and it's Monday. You know, it's you know. So the only thing they do have though, Andy, is F1, and so we got to mention.
They also have F1 TV that I am a subscriber to, and I don't need cable for that either.
How are you liking it?
F1 TV, great. It's it replaces all the baloney of trying to find, like, if you want highlights from each session, you don't need to go on their YouTube. You can find a higher res version of it with no ads right there. So like they have it sorted by like big tiles on the front of the app, and it's like, look, here's the Spanish GP that just happened. Tap on it. Cool. Okay, here's all the sessions. Just tap on those if you want. Do you want the full qualifying of everything? Do you want the 30-minute qualifying, or do you want the 5-minute qualifying? Same for the race. It's like, do you want the full race, the 30-minute, the 5-minute? What do you want?
That's cool. Who are the
Yeah.
announcers?
It's the
I guess they have
Sky.
multiple.
It's the Sky announcers.
Is it? Okay.
The good one. The good ones.
Well, I was just wondering if they had other announcers, because there are like other people that do those announcers for other countries, I think. So I didn't know if it was a different thing.
It's the good ones.
Are they the good ones?
I enjoy them.
Did you watch the full race?
No, I watched the highlights because I was out during the
Because they
race.
certainly wouldn't have put this in the highlights.
Uh-oh.
One of the commentators is an older gentleman, Mr. Brundle, said a thing you probably shouldn't say about an ethnicity.
Oh
And
no.
that was he used one of those old words that is racist now and was then too, but it was okay back then somehow.
Uh-oh.
And
We had
you could tell as soon as he said it, he knew he screwed up, but that's not okay. Why were you saying it?
It's already too late by then.
Yeah. And so that's not going to show up in any highlight packages. I wondered if they had scrubbed it from the stream. It's possible.
I wonder if I go back to the main, just the full race, if it's even there anymore. It's probably not there anymore either.
Yeah, I don't know. It was just like totally an offhand comment. And like, it was about nothing. Like, it's like, oh, these drivers are 3 different nationalities all following each other. That's interesting. Is it? In F1? Is that interesting? Like, are there even 2 drivers of the same nationality on the grid? I guess there's a few different people from England.
A bunch of English drivers, a bunch of German drivers.
That's not, is this an interesting thing to comment on? You could have just said nothing. Yeah.
Oops.
Oops.
Yeah, I wonder.
The thing sorry,
this is kind of everywhere.
F1 here.
Well, this is kind of everywhere. I talked about it in that Willow thing last week. Like, people are just airheaded sometimes. Like, they put that Dire Straits song in there, and if you know about that Dire Straits song, you'd be like, why is this in a show that celebrates,
Sure, yeah,
relationships? If you don't know what I'm talking about, go look it up. Educate yourself a little bit. The song, I understand, right? It's got a sweet guitar riff. The edited version, just fine. But like, man, maybe, yeah, okay. Well, Martin Brumble, huh? Whoops.
Yeah. The Spanish GP, you watch the highlights. Not what we wanted, I guess, right? The first half was pretty good, I would say.
Yeah, weird. Weird. What happened with Merc popping up?
Yeah, they got those upgrades in, man. That's what it is.
It's got to be.
The Ferrari upgrades didn't go so well, apparently, and Checo Perez crashed in qualifying, so he was last.
Yeah.
It was kind of sad that Monaco was a more interesting race. That's sad.
It is a little sad, but that's what happens when you have, like, the thing starts out with who blocked a bunch of people in qualifying, and was it Gasly?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, Gasly blocked a couple of people, I think. Yep.
Seemed like no one was just interested in racing, really, almost. Like, Haas didn't seem interested in racing. I don't know.
There was a lot. Yeah. There was a lot of passing going on in the beginning. And then, like, once they sort of sorted into the proper order, or the order that it was going to be for this race, then it was kind of like, all right, we're done today. Let's finish the last 30 laps, chaps, and then we'll all go home.
Yeah. That's really what it felt like. Actually, yeah, that's a good way to put it. It was like, nah, we're good. Everyone's happy with this. I'm like, oh, okay. Right, I'm not, but okay.
I, the viewer, am not, but sure, I guess.
Yeah. Yeah, the highlights were early in the race, and then the race was just like, and there's Max Verstappen
coming home, winning it by 20 plus seconds. You're like, all right, not
per usual. Look, man, it's gonna happen. The only thing that could change it is if you put him in a Haas.
Sure. You know what? I would laugh at someone is gonna try it sometime and like be like, okay, let's give Max a bad car. and put him up against someone who's like medium in a good car, and then watch Max still win.
Oh, he would shred him, guaranteed.
Yeah,
That
yeah,
it's at this point clear, right? It just is what it is. He's that much
Yeah.
better.
we just have
And
to wait 6 more
happens to-
years until he gets his run of championships, right?
Well, it just happens to be that like he's in the best car, clearly. And even if he wasn't in the best car, if he was in the top 4 cars, he'd still be fighting for the front every race.
Yeah,
It's just somebody's just dialed in. They're dialed in. It seems to be like, I guess. Well, Spain, man, it's a bummer when the drama is off the track. It really is, especially when we're talking about not even things.
It's sad
like,
too because I
"Ooh,
like
who
the-
cheated the rules or whatever, you know.
Yeah, because like I like the resurgent Fernando Alonso and like the memes of him being all nice to people and stuff, which is fun because he's famously a jerk.
Yeah, I mean, what's who's ending up on Ferrari? That's the only drama left,
Ooh,
right?
Yeah, it. I feel at some point they fired everyone on the team. What else can they do? Oh,
Who'd want
All
to
right,
work there now? You know.
dude, yeah, no, absolutely not. Right, like, yes, this ship that seems to be on fire on the horizon. That's where I would like to plant my flag and produce my racing career.
I mean,
No.
there are firefighters that enjoy their job in that analogy. You know, it is Ferrari still.
Yeah, and maybe there are people out there who have a connection to the that Ferrari brand and the Ferrari, I don't know what else, racing legacy and stuff that just doesn't work for us new fans or something, right? It could be.
I mean, it's
All right.
just yeah, it is what it is.
We know, folks. We know out there. We know you want to send us emails.
Oh yeah,
we're gonna do an email show. We've talked about doing it. We're doing it. Just not
last
today,
chance
though.
Yeah, last chance.
Yeah.
3DS stories, fake/real JoJo names, comments on Willow or streaming.
Oh man, I forgot you're still watching JoJo's, Andrew. How you liking that? I keep forgetting.
I haven't been speedily watching it. I'm sort of still in the World War II arc of the show.
Okay.
But I am still enjoying it. It just is a time constraint problem. I'm also slowly rewatching all the Rocky movies, so it's kind of like pinging back and forth between a couple episodes of that, half a Rocky movie. You know,
There's something thematic about that goes between those.
maybe there is. Maybe I'm thinking about something.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Cool. So folks that want to send us those, Michael, where can they send those?
They can send those to podcast@weweregamers.com. Yeah, get your emails in before next week.
Yes. We want to hear from you out there. So
Oh, and apologies to everyone that the podcast was a little bit late last week. It was kind of a nutso week for me, as the end of the school year is. So, thanks for your patience over the next couple weeks as summer starts.
do we think there's going to be any video games announced this year at not E3?
No. They all announced them at the last conference if they were going to announce anything.
Or they'll do it as part of their individual events that they hold over the summer.
Sony
I
just
mean, like, it
Sony
feels like
just
this
had a
summer
thing.
isn't going to. That's what I mean. Sony's thing was like, here's Spider-Man 2 and kind of nothing else.
No, they announced that Bungie marathon game and a bunch of other stuff.
Andrew, are you going to play a live service game? Is that what you're going to do?
I mean, don't we already play one?
You going to play another live service game? You got time for 2 or 3 in your life?
No, I haven't even picked up Halo Infinite yet, and I actually want to play that game.
Oh, I read a clip, a sound bite earlier today. Speaking of Sony and releasing things, as I do every so often, I went looking for if there's any news on Horizon Forbidden West being released on PC, and found an article from one of the higher ups at Sony from a week or two ago, where he was saying that they wanted to maintain some spacing between the releases, the exclusive releases on PS5 and releases on other platforms, to be fair to their fan base, and that they had quote unquote talked to the fans and gotten the feedback that 2 years seemed like a fair amount of time for things to be exclusive, which to me, I read and I just understand that to mean this is where the accountants told us the profitability starts to dwindle.
Mm.
I'm sure they didn't talk to all the fans, because there's definitely some fans who would have said, why are we putting it out on the console exclusively in the first place? And then there are also fans who are like, why are you putting it out on the PC at all? So
Right.
I don't know that the fans were the ones who made those decisions.
Yeah. It's like don't try and attribute this to the fans. That's not what's driving your decision making process.
Yeah, there's definitely a profit and a hype line that cross each other at some point, and they go, here is where the PC will be released.
Hmm.
The profit and hype lines intersect.
Right? I mean, it's like brand awareness and cost at
Really?
some
I
point,
mean,
right? Like
you're
they're
only
like,
talking
here,
about like 1 year,
here we
9
go.
months before you start advertising that it's coming out, 2 years. Although you think
Right,
about
that's
it,
what
and
I'm-
it's like, what's their current deal? It's like it's on PS5 first, then it goes to Epic exclusive, and then it goes out. So it's really more like 4 years.
Those Epic exclusives aren't doing it though. Epic isn't doing them that much anymore, and also they're
Epic
not
ain't-
like doing good numbers. Yeah.
Epic ain't doing it
Well,
anymore because
I was gonna say you gotta wonder, is it that the publishers aren't doing that with Epic anymore?
I wouldn't.
Yeah. They had a chance, right? When they were handing out free money, people were taking the free money, right? Because they could always just release on Steam later, or, other marketplaces. But they've stopped handing the free money out, and so it's just like, do an exclusive with us, the smaller storefront.
Yeah.
Why?
I mean, I don't know, man. They lose hundreds of millions of dollars on the Epic Game Store every year, and I don't understand how. It's just like all Fortnite funding it for, and
I mean, Fortnite makes a lot of money.
I know, but like, who at the company is like, yes, we lost $600 million on the Epic Store. That's
I think they are
cool.
also funding development of some games, right? And so the games whose development they fund then end up exclusive to their store for some amount of time, or
Well,
permanent.
that's fine,
just
but
because.
like, they report their loss, right? And they report their
Oh, yeah.
loss. I don't know.
Well, Epic still wins even when you don't release on their store if you make a game in Unreal. So
I don't know. Maybe they're not losing money anymore. The last time I heard that was like 2 years ago. So maybe now they're making money. Maybe they turned a corner.
I don't know. Business accounting is like 80% smoke and mirrors. I feel
you
anyway.
can have a business account until you lost hundreds of millions and be like, and the stock price goes up because that's a good thing. I don't.
Everyone gets bonuses. Stock price went up. Who cares about profitability?
Yeah.
All
I mean,
right.
it's funny because they say they make money, but then they say they lose money. You know what I mean? Oh yeah, we made $820 million, but that means we lost $600 million. It's like, wait, what? Start over. You spent $1.4 billion on this. How does Fortnite make that much money?
A question you should ask the regulators about gambling.
Hmm.
Actually, I don't know that Fortnite does loot box stuff, so maybe that wouldn't work out. Anywho,
No, I don't know what they. Yeah, they don't have a ranked.
people
mode.
tell us. People want to tell us about Fortnite stuff. You
No,
email.
Don't know.
Email. I don't know anything
straight
about
to
it.
the trash bin. I don't care.
Email it so that Andy has some emails to move to the trash. He feels bad. So go ahead and do that. You can also follow us on social media. We're at We Were Gamers, and we're on YouTube, right? YouTube.com/@WeWereGamers.
That's the one.
Correct.
Find us on all those places, folks.